Today's video is sponsored by Whisper Vaday. Shh. Hi, Ugly. It's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing episode 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. This episode's challenge was Snatch Game, and on the runway the category was Feeling Fruity. But I think the fruitiest part of this episode might have just been the judging. Hey RuPaul, UK, hun? We've got a lot to cover today, so in no particular order, let's get started. First up, toilet paper. She's dry, terrible for the environment, and she isn't even good at her one job, cleaning. Would you clean a dirty fork with just toilet paper? Of course not. The truth is, there's a cleaner way. The Whisper Bidet. The Whisper Bidet is a sleek and easy-to-use toilet seat attachment that showers your brown town with a soft yet satisfying pressurized stream of water, leaving it clean enough to eat off of. Here's how it works. First, do your business. Then turn the knob on your Whisper Bidet to your desired pressure setting and let the water do the dirty work. Finally, pat dry with just a few squares of TP and voila! You're clean as a whistle and ready to face the day. No more wiping until it hurts and no more crud left in your crevices, even in the boss battles.
The boss battles?
That's right. I'm talking about those life-changing movements you have after chugging a cold brew the morning after you eat a burrito bowl with extra cheese. Just spray it away with Whisper Bidet.
Right on target.
Plus, it's eco-friendly. With Whisper, I use about 80% less toilet paper and feel 1,000% cleaner. And best of all, Whisper installs in a snap.
I did it myself in about 10 minutes. Less time than it took to glue this wig down.
It's changed my life, and I can't wait for it to change yours. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description of my video and visit whisperbidets.com to order yours today. And make sure to use code Bussy during checkout to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's right, you'll get 20% off your order plus free shipping when you use code Bussy at whisperbidets.com. Thanks Whisper for sponsoring this video and keeping Bussy's Bussy squeaky clean. Next up, every town has one. It's Scarlett Harlett. Scarlett's first thought for Snatch Game is to do Danny Dyer, who is a UK television star, but RuPaul says, how about an American reference? Something the US people watching might understand. And no, she didn't really say that. That was a joke. But Scarlett does give her one that he laughs at. Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone, when he was like 7. Now I was actually super surprised to see Scarlett suggest that she could do Macaulay Culkin, and even more surprised to see RuPaul encourage Macaulay Culkin, because yeah, it's like an obvious visual reference, but where is the depth in performance? Where are the layers of this character? Like, I'm sure Scarlett was thinking the same thing, but throws caution to the wind and says, you know what? When Miss Mother RuPaul says I better do something, I better mother tucking do it. And thankfully she did. The performance she gave as Macaulay was good. I think why it continued to be good mostly was because it tickled RuPaul so greatly to see Scarlett make that Home Alone scared face. And I think Scarlett was truly committed to that character, and every time she did the scream face, it got more and more intense, which I think was the only way to keep making that funnier, because it's like there were no other real jokes there. Scarlett trapped herself in a one-dimensional character, but milked it for all it was worth. But at least it was entertaining. I'm gonna give this performance a hot. On the runway though, seeing this color makes me side with Michelle. I no longer like green either. I'm not sure what the hell is going on here. It is 3 different silhouettes in one. It's like a giant lime green clown suit, and then she's got on that fresh lime green hair right out of the bag. My biggest problems though are not necessarily with the silhouette of the dress, but I think the color of it against Scarlett's super pale skin and the way she's accessorized it with that giant necklace and earrings that just totally eat up her neck and make her look stunted up top. Plus, I think in no cinematic universe is this giving fruit. As the judges said, this is giving lettuce. Scarlett, this look hidden iceberg tonight. It's a rat. Next up, Kitty Scott-Claus. And jokes. As Bru was walking around the workroom asking who's going to do who in Snatch Game, Kitty reveals she's going to be doing Celia Black. And RuPaul says, how about something else? How about something that I know and want to laugh at? How about Gemma Collins? And to be fair, I think Kitty is pretty well known for doing Gemma Collins. I mean, she does look just like her. But we do see this trend of RuPaul asking the queens to change their characters continue for whatever reason, and Kitty listens. Her only hesitation for doing Gemma Gemma being that Cheryl had done Gemma on season 1, apparently using Kitty's wig. Ultimately though, I do think it was smart for her to change her character. I think it's Snatch Game, you really gotta do what you do best, even if it's been done before. Your only challenge if it has been done before is to, I think, do it better than the person who did it before you. And Cheryl, I'm sorry, but Kitty definitely did that. In fact, I would say what Kitty did in the Snatch Game was like a masterclass of how to succeed in Snatch Game. She took every opportunity, she knew the character inside out and transformed them into a deeper parody of herself and really took it all the way, even ending with a reveal to like the candy swimsuit thing. Kitty definitely gave a performance tonight. But on the runway, I was a little confused, intrigued, but confused. I saw Little Red Riding Hood, I saw Assassin's Creed, I saw grapevines, and I'm like, girl, what is she doing here? And then she gets a little closer and I'm like, oh, she got cherries on, but they're on vines? I was so confused. Then she starts to tell us that she is indeed giving a Red Riding Hood meets Poison Ivy meets Popping Cherry fantasy. I don't know what this was all about, but hey, at least it looks damn good on her. And to her credit, I suppose mixing all these crazy references is a bit fruity, so I'm gonna give this look a hot. Next up, rolling on River Medway. In the Snatch Game, she does Amy Childs, and yes, Rue did try to change her Snatch Game too, but didn't seem like River had much of a backup, so she stuck with Amy. This is another character from the TV show The Only Way is Essex, who Gemma Collins was also from. And the little bit that I was familiar with Gemma, mostly because of like Drag Race UK references, I was even less familiar with Amy. The funny thing is that she started decently, and I think pretty much everybody on the Snatch Game did, and overall, the Snatch Game was pretty good, I have to say, but she really fell flat as the Snatch Game progressed. Rue would ask her something and she didn't have good answers, or she'd try to volley with Kitty and then Kitty would outwit her. Like for example with that ream word, which I'm assuming is some sort of situation akin to like what happened in Mean Girls with Gretchen and Regina and the word fetch? Maybe one of y'all can help me out in the comments down below. So yeah, not only was River's Snatch Game not good, it also was made even worse by the fact that she was essentially competing with Kitty, who was killing it. Sorry River, but this was a rat. And on the runway, well, she certainly served fruit. She says she's giving us fruit bowl fantasy, and she says she made this look herself. That's all I'm gonna say about that. The upside down cup or bowl that she says that this is, okay, I'm sorry, it's so bad. Just random pieces of fruit glued to her little body. No silhouette besides what looks like, what do they call them? A bell head, bell top, bell head, bell top. River, it's rough, y'all. That's all I can say. This fruit is rotten. Next up, we learned that even being Rue's favorite sausage isn't enough to keep you in the competition. It's Choriza May. Seeing what happened to Choriza tonight was, I think, one of my saddest moments that I've had watching Drag Race so far, at least in this season. She won the reading challenge because, hey, she is naturally funny. And I was like, oh, this is gonna translate excellently into the Snatch Game. The judges didn't think so. I personally, though, didn't have a problem with her Snatch Game. I thought she was hilarious. She was doing this singer who I guess is better known as an eccentric performer named Margarita Pracatan. I was not at all familiar with this person, so I thought Choriza's like eccentric eyes and the crazy things that she was saying were very funny. And while I was watching Snatch Game, I was actually thinking that she had pretty good banter with Rue whenever she was asked to fill in a blank. But then when it came time for judgment, it seemed that the judges were changing their tune. Rupaul says that Choriza didn't push Margarita beyond the obvious, and the other judges say that she basically fizzled out over time. And again, I don't think that that was something that we as viewers saw. Maybe that's what they experienced there in real life, but that wasn't shown in the edit. So I was very confused, at least until I realized that, oh, RuPaul also asked Choriza to change her Snatch Game character, and she did not comply. The person that Ru asked her to change to being Cher, of all people. It was a very out of left field suggestion, especially for someone like I think Choriza, and it just made me wonder, was RuPaul just sitting back thinking, I really want to laugh at a Cher impersonation today. Anyways, even though she bored the judges, I thought her performance felt fresh, and I'm gonna give it a hat. And on the runway, she's giving us the original Brazilian bombshell, Carmen Miranda. I really enjoyed her take on Carmen because she, I think, is classically known in people's heads for carrying a basket of mixed fruits, but Choriza said, you know what, I'm gonna go with just one, the juiciest one, a peach. And she kind of also transformed the rest of the outfit into her own fantasy as well with unique colors. And I love the little custom fruit stickers that she ironed onto the back of the dress like you'd see on a fruit in a fruit basket. Choriza, call me by your name because this was hot. Next up, London, Paris, Vanity, Milan. In the Snatch Game, she's doing a character called Miss Kingston, played by the actress Jocelyn G. Easian. And when I was watching the Snatch Game, I originally had no idea who this character was, and so I was thinking, okay, I guess she's doing a decent job. Like, I wasn't rolling on the floor laughing, but it also didn't feel like she was falling totally flat. But I did leave that Snatch Game thinking that Jocelyn was some sort of like chef, given the Dirty Rice references that she made. But as it turns out, I did some research and learned that Miss Kingston is this rowdy, audacious, loud, graphic, and man-hating teacher that comes into these classrooms and basically just terrorizes small children. As an example, in one clip I watched, she even taught the children a modified nursery rhyme where they were chopping off a man's bazungas. Very relatable. And I have to say, Vanity was absolutely none of that. The accent, Jamaican, yes, for sure, but Miss Kingston, she was not. This was a rot. A dirty rot, if you will. And on the runway, is that a hair in her fruit or a fruit in her hair? This is, I think, both a good and bad look. It contains multitudes. The dress itself with those big, giant arm sleeve ruffles, I think is pretty and chic. I like the little ruffled skirt moment down at the bottom, but the rest of it I'm not a huge fan of. And like, given the tiny amount of fruit in the basket on her head, does it really meet the category? It kind of felt like a last minute addition to the look rather than planning a runway look based around feeling fruity. I do definitely want to give her credit though for the basket that she put the fruit in being made of hair. That is pretty cool. The dress, I'll give a hot, but the outfit overall as accessorized and for this runway category, I'm not feeling it. It's gonna be a hot. Next up, she found the recipe to success this episode. It's Ella Vaday. In the Snatch Game, her original plan is to do Mystic Meg, but you guessed it, RuPaul asked her to change. Her backup, as it turns out, is Nigella Lawson, another UK character that I was unfamiliar with. From what I've gathered, she is some sort of like celebrity chef known for her everyday recipes, kind of comparable to Rachel Ray, at least based on what I've gathered in my limited research. The one thing I was a little bit confused about though is that the judges were, I guess, praising Ella for perfectly capturing some of this little undertones that Nigella has in her cooking videos, but I watched them and can't say that I felt that energy. That said, I loved the overtones that Ella added to her performance. And ultimately, I think Ella did what you absolutely need to do in Snatch Game. Take an everyday celebrity with a bit of a unique personality and play up those small eccentricities to their highest degree and make them funny. Ella took this performance and cooked it to a perfect 69 degrees in the microwave. This performance was hot. And on the runway, I just want to taste it. She's giving us a beautiful watermelon, and seriously, look at those melons. Fantasy. This is definitely my favorite look from Ella so far. I love that she turned this like little cape kind of moment into a train. Some interactivity on the runway. We live for that. And the color looked great on her. It feels unique, personal, campy, and fun. And I have to say, I was truly impressed by Ella overall this episode from start to finish. She's somebody that, as she says people often do, I kind of underestimated going into this season, but girl, color me impressed. This look was hot. Next up, the judges have built up quite a tolerance for her, but they still can't put her down. It's Krystal Versace. In the Snatch Game, she is doing this character called Charity Shop Sue, who is this very dryly delivered eccentric charity shop manager who gets into all sorts of hijinks in her charity shop. And this was, I think, a big challenge, honestly, for Snatch Game. And like Vanity, I think Krystal too made the mistake of choosing somebody that was already funny and then failed to transform her or make her into something new. I thought for sure Krystal was getting the flop edit and they were gonna put her in the bottom. And then we got to the critiques and all of a sudden the judges were like praising her for making such a brave choice and like stepping out of her shell. And I was like, what's going on here? Ru even goes as far to say that he had fun with her charity shop Sue and then gives Krystal the biggest RuPaul stamp of approval that could ever possibly be given. Ru says she is so happy and proud that at 19 she has found what she is truly meant to be. a drag queen. And to be clear, I don't disagree. I absolutely think Krystal is an excellent drag queen and has a vast ocean of success in her future if she wants it. But wow, that must have felt so validating, especially after giving a pretty mediocre, if not bad, Snatch Game performance. Anyways, I think it's pretty clear I thought her charity shop Sue deserved to be in the bargain bin. It was a rot. And on the runway, she served the true forbidden fruit. Seconds. She comes out in what is essentially the dragon fruit skin version of the design challenge runway that she created earlier this season. And the judges do call her out for it, but I can't say that I fault her in any way for having this happen. I think she did what anybody would have done in the design challenge. She gave it her all, and I do think it paid off for her then, and it was just an unfortunate coincidence that she later had to wear a runway that looked kind of like one she's already worn. This look is by no means bad though. I love the like pink and green coloring of the jagged bodice mixed with the bodysuit that has the seeds on it. Like, the concept behind this is brilliant. This is the second week in a row now though that she is kind of lacking an element of surprise on the runway, and I'm not sure how she can really fix that given that they're already, you know, waist deep in the competition. What she has in her closet is what she has in her closet. I think Krystal definitely put the drag in dragon fruit tonight. This look is hot. So now let's take a look at where the episode got really fruity. So Vaday takes the win tonight, which was no surprise, and also who I would have picked for the win. Kitty's Gemma was excellent, and as I said, a masterclass in what to do in Snatch Game, but it did lack an element of freshness for me personally, while Ella's felt brand new. And then the episode starts to get fruity. Rupaul puts Choriza and River into the bottom. And again, it was really weird to hear them critique Choriza in the way that they did, because she had a pretty good Snatch Game edit, and I really did not peg her to be in the bottom at all. Like, it absolutely should have been Vanity and River or Krystal and River. But given how Rupaul sees Krystal as a god among drag queens, we know that she's not going to put Krystal in the bottom, and they're also kind of keeping their eye on Vanity for this, like, showing up to the competition storyline. So I guess she wasn't an option either. So there goes Choriza. But I think we also have to mention that Rupaul asked pretty much every queen to change their Snatch Game. And guess what? Choriza and River were the only two who we saw face this dilemma not change their Snatch Game. Coincidence? I'll let you decide, but to me, it did kind of feel like almost RuPaul's way of trying to have a really heavy hand in production and not seeing something go the way that he exactly wanted it to, so he decided to punish somebody? I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it way too much, but it felt a little strange that that's how it wound up. And then we get the gag of the season. Well, the second gag of the season. Actually, the third. Victoria's medical disqualification being the first, nobody winning last week being the second, and now this. Choriza and River are both sent home after their lip sync. The ultimate punishment for not listening to RuPaul's advice on changing your Snatch Game character. And I did react to this lip sync, which you definitely want to catch over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patron family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my YouTube videos, access to exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and more. Click the link in the description of my video to join today. See you there. But my true honest opinion is that neither girl lip synced for their life. I didn't see like the fire or passion. And so I think it is definitely justifiable to have both of them sashay away. Choriza's hair malfunction kind of made her look like a confused, disoriented, escaped prison inmate. And when River took off that fruit bowl cup thing from her body, she just kind of looks like a small child dancing on a stage to her parents' records. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't great. So on one hand, yeah, I can definitely see why Rue eliminated both of them. However, it does feel like a little bit of a slap in the face to see Rue not give anybody the win last week and to see him eliminate two queens tonight. I think Rue's trying to send the cast a clear message. Be more like Krystal Versace or face elimination. Just kidding, but really I think Drag Race UK3 is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I mean, they were tasked with following up Drag Race UK Season 2, which was amazing, in the same calendar year, while another English-speaking season of Drag Race is airing. So that itself is a huge task, and I think the production team was kind of sitting around thinking, okay, how are we going to accomplish this? Well, we're gonna need no winners, we're gonna need double eliminations, we're gonna need double Shantays, we're gonna need to pull out every trick and gig and gag in the book. But actually, I think it's kind of pushing viewers away. I'm kind of like, wow, nothing really matters, does it? Like, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if RuPaul just canceled the whole season. Like, Where will this season go from here? Only God and RuPaul herself know. Let me know what you're thinking about all this in the comments down below. Were you gooped? Were you gagged? Who would you have put in the bottom, and who do you think deserved the win this week? As for my hottest hots, my hottest on the runway tonight goes to Krystal Versace, and my hottest in the Snatch Game goes to Vaday. I also asked my patrons to vote for their hottest hots, and for both categories, they've chosen Vaday. As always, I want to say thanks to you for watching today's video sponsor, and to my generous patrons for all making my channel possible. I also want to give a special shout out to Lark, Angel, Adaluda, Cyrus, Felicia, Cody P, Jared Rocks, JB, Joseph, Josh Marchant, JP in Dallas, Laura, Matthew, Maxila Wow, Miss F. Neely, OG Debuse, Rochambeau, Scooby Snacks, Sailor, Steven, Tom Jaco, Tom Young, Topher, Triton, and Wheelie for all supporting me at my Bussy Queen Collector tier over on Patreon. See you later. Love ya. Bye.